right, welcome everybody to the third episode of Alternative Asset Weekly. This is a very special episode. I have Ty Wilson from Chasing Cardboard. Ty, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Oh, you got it.
And for all of you that haven't seen his content, his show is an American Picker style show. It is phenomenal on YouTube. They have over 87,000 subscribers. Please go subscribe to his channel. He's done 329 videos and closing in on 17 million views. His eBay store has sold over 74,000 items, and he has probably been to more card shows and seen more collections than probably anybody that I've ever met. So thank you for coming on, Ty.
You got it. I don't know. Maybe you haven't met a lot of collectors, but I run into collectors now and I'm like, you've been collecting how long? It's like, you forget how deep this hobby is when you get out.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's completely transformed since the 80s. And I'm not sure how old you are, but I remember, and I'm going to name drop right now.
Okay.
So AJ Preller, the GM of the Padres.
Okay. My
parents and his parents are best friends. And we grew up together. And I'll never forget walking around a card show, and he kept asking for a 1983 Darryl Strawberry Topps traded card. He couldn't find it until the last 5 minutes. And I remember going to card shows with my dad and his dad and him, and it was just completely different than now. And it's just, I am a stock market enthusiast. And for the past 2 years, I've been trying to bring the community of finance into the alternative asset realm when I've gone on a lot of the guys' podcasts and YouTube channels from Amit to Tanner. And I think I'm starting to really crack the surface with everybody that this is a legitimate asset class.
Yeah.
And I think that they're finally seeing it with the returns and just how big it's gone. So before we get into all the questions that I sent you, my first question, before we get into the Chasing Cardboard aspect, is how much have you seen the hobby change and evolve over the years?
A lot. Yeah. I mean, so I'm 41, going to be 42 here in a few weeks. So to give you context, right? I grew up collecting in the early 90s. So junk wax era for sure. Been podcasting and doing data and all that good stuff in the hobby for well over 10 years. We've been running Chasing Cardboard for about 4 years and 100 episodes filmed. Even in the 4 years we've been recording, the hobby has changed fast, right? But I mean, you go pre-COVID to the mid 2010s, and it's like the hobby I felt like was running on fumes in a lot of ways. And then technology and platforms started to make a play in the hobby, which led to really good marketplaces and new marketplaces coming up and still coming up. And then AI over the last couple of years has kind of sped things up. The hobby has changed so fast in the last 5 years versus the last 30 years that I think a lot of us are going, okay, where are we going with this? How fast can we go? How big can this get? So I think the alternative asset discussion is very relevant because of it.
Yeah, and I think that people are really starting to see through websites such as Sports Card Investor, because that's a free version of Market Movers, more or less, that they can actually see the asset prices of these cards going up. And I think that they're really starting to see the demand now that, look, Michael Rubin acquiring Topps through Fanatics, I think is the biggest thing for the industry. Yeah. And now that you have athletes such as Tom Brady opening card shops, I think it's creating a level of legitimacy that we didn't have before. And Kevin O'Leary obviously starting the Wondershine Index. Have you gone onto their website?
I haven't dug into it, no. I mean, I've read about it from the surface level, but man, it's crazy.
All right, I'm going to share this real quick. I want to get your opinion.
Okay.
So you haven't seen this. So they actually put up the cards of the Wondershine Index on their website.
Wow.
And they are saying that they have spent $20.9 million, and right now the index value is $24.7 million. And the famous one that they went on CNBC with,
Jordan Kobe. Yep.
Why isn't it?
Yeah, the dual. I'm guessing it's the dual logo man, right? 12.9 million.
It is. For some reason, it didn't go through.
That's crazy.
All right. Well, that one, 12.9 million. Yeah. I explain to people, it's like waterfront property. They're not making another one of it.
Yeah.
And everyone just is starting to see it. So you go around the country, you see a ton of stuff. How did you get hooked up with Mike Moynihan and Marcel first off?
I like how
because I was watching Mike's content with yours earlier because he's the vintage guy.
That's so funny. We go from dual logo man, Wonder Shine to
right.
Moynihan.
It's all over the place.
I like it. So I met Mike. So Mike Moynihan's very, very big into the vintage space, as you said, baseball collector channel on YouTube. Is a well respected voice. I met him because I was a podcaster for many years. I was running data, putting out, interviewing guests and interviewing kind of influencers in the hobby and putting out data around just the growth of the hobby. I met him because we started a little YouTube channel called Bench Clear Media, and we just wanted to legitimize some of this content we were putting out. So since then, we've become very good friends. I've known Marcel for, gosh, almost 15 years now. He runs my favorite card shop in the United States, the Awesome Card Shop in Las Vegas. Just a good guy. He's been around the block. And so we've gone through a lot together. So he'll pop on as a guest every once in a while on Chasing Cardboard as well. So
yeah. So my buddy who's in the chat, the Judge Collector, his real name will be protected, but we have a question. How the hell did Marcel keep it a secret that you're rolling up to Raleigh Finger's house?
By far my favorite, top 3 episode for me of all time. So he hinted towards something, right? And I'm trying to figure out, I'm thinking on the drive, who does he know that I know he might walk into? So my gut was like, it's got to be Raleigh Fingers, but he wouldn't really tell me. He let Matt know. Matt knew, who's the producer of the show. I didn't know. So it was well done. It was well done. I didn't even know we were going to go see a special guest until about 12 hours before we were filming. So
you could tell when you watched that episode, you had no idea.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. It was really pretty cool when he pulled out the sleeve of balls and everything. Very cool.
Well, it was tough because I was like, you should have let me know, because I would have prepped a bunch of questions to ask and really dug into his past. But you shoot from the hip, and sometimes it's even more authentic. So it worked out.
Yeah. So Chasing Cardboard.
Yeah.
We've been watching the show for a long time, my buddy and I. Phenomenal show. How'd you come up with the idea, and how'd you figure out that you can make it work? Because obviously a lot goes into it, especially a lot of blind trust. I know you've had stuff fall apart. I don't really want to ask you certain questions about it, but really, how did you come up and make it work the way that it does? Because it seems like it flows very well.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. And Steven, you can ask me anything you want. I told you, I really mean that.
Yeah, no, I'm going to keep certain things off, because one thing I don't want to do is ask you stuff like, what's your favorite collection you've seen? Because there's so many good ones. I don't want to disrespect anybody.
Yeah.
So
for sure. So how'd the idea come up? So I'd been podcasting, like I mentioned a couple of times, and Matt Coleman out of Dallas, Texas, a great producer. As you know, you see the show, right? Mm-hmm. We met because Mike and I had formed that Bench Clear Media content, channel, and we met Matt, and Matt goes, "Hey, Ty, can I put out some of this content I've been working on where I'm just interviewing really cool and telling really cool stories in the hobby?" And I said, "Sure, man, use our platform to do it." And kind of through that, for about 6 months, I got to know Matt. Well, Matt calls me one day and he goes, "Man, I have this great idea. I'm a massive American Pickers fan, and I would love to use my love for American Pickers and kind of integrate it into the hobby using your personality and my production skills. And let's go around the United States and just tell stories and let you kind of run transactions like you're already doing." And so we put a pilot together. We worked with, so let's do it, right? I'm thinking, okay, it's a side hustle for both of us. This will be really fun. Not really knowing how good Matt was. It was kind of a leap of faith for both of us, but we got on the road, and I mean, within a few hours, I knew Matt was really, really good. And I was really not as good as maybe the camera makes me look. And we put a pilot episode together. And we realized after we filmed the pilot episode, we didn't film half the things right. And so we went back to Houston, Texas, where we filmed that first episode, and kind of piecemealed the episode together with the entire reason to go pitch this to Netflix. Matt was all about Netflix, like screw YouTube. Let's just go straight to Netflix or Prime and get this on network TV. And so we got the pilot done, and it turned out great. And we worked 3 months trying to pitch this to the networks, and we just had no success. We got in the room with some folks, and they basically pushed back and said, "Really cool concept. The market's not big enough for sports cards. Like, you have to, this market is just too niche." go put it on YouTube. And if you have great success, come back to us a couple years later. And so that was the constant feedback we got. And we said, okay, well, let's do it. So we put 2 more episodes together, and we put 3 episodes out on YouTube 4 years ago. And really the rest is history. Like I said, we filmed 100 episodes now. We've released 88 of them. And we've since had conversations with networks, and we don't want to lose the creative freedom. So we're just grinding it out on YouTube and making it work. That was a long-winded answer. Sorry.
No, that's great. I think grinding it out's the right terminology, because for people that haven't seen the show yet, and I'm going to get to the investing side in a few minutes, but what Ty and the crew do is, and I believe you're from Montana.
Was from Sandpoint, Idaho. I moved back to where I'm from, Kansas City.
Kansas City. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Because you're a big Kansas City Royals fan.
Correct.
For some reason I had Montana in my head. I don't know why. But you drive around. First, a lot of times you fly out, you rent a U-Haul. You then set up deals, whether it's through, and you said word of mouth is really second, third iteration of people, somebody who knows somebody that you get introduced to. And you end up renting a U-Haul. And some of these U-Hauls, I got to tell you, one thing, how long does it take you to load up those U-Hauls? Because some of those have to be 5-6 hours.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah. So we learned early on, like, we can't drive up to a house with the U-Haul anymore because we lose a lot of leverage in the negotiation. So we would really understand what U-Hauls were close before we would go film with somebody and know, okay, they close at this time. We got to get all this planned. But yeah, you're right. Some of those collections are entire houses of carts, and we're cramming a 22-foot U-Haul to the max with sports cars.
There's one episode that stands out in my mind when you went upstairs, and I think Marcel was with you, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I'm going to say? It was just the room of wax, the 09 Topps boxes and everything. And I'm thinking to myself, man, if this would never be the Judge Collector's house, because he can't keep anything sealed for anything.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was Randy. He was in Encinitas, California. That was, I remember that moment clearly, because you're like, how do you not open this? I would be the same way. I couldn't leave that wax in my house.
What do you think when you see some of these collections? Because some of them are really huge.
Yeah. Depends on the person, right? I think sometimes you realize pretty quickly if they're in it for the money. And most of the times we're not filming people that are in it for the money. I realize you see personalities in collections really quickly. The way they organize it, the things they collect, the things they talk about. I pay attention probably to that more than anything now. It's like, how can I understand this guy's personality as fast as possible through him talking about his cards? And I think it's fun for the viewer too, right? You pick up on these guys really quickly when they start talking. The cards are just a byproduct of who they are.
Yeah, there's a lot of those collections, like you said, are 20, 30 years in the making.
Totally. You're exactly right.
Yeah. And what you do, whether it's consignment or you're acquiring the entire collection, I mean, you break it down. How much time does it take you to break that down? Obviously, I see the racks behind you. And I mean, what you do is really astonishing, because I mean, you break everything down. You list on eBay. I'm sure you do private deals and everything. I mean, you're explain the actual business side of what you're doing right now, because you're running a multi-million-dollar business now.
Yeah, it's grown exponentially the last few years. Yeah, so we'll go on trips, right? And most of the time we're not filming unless there's 3 collections, because each episode costs us about, on average, 7 to 10 grand.
Yep.
So it's expensive to do it. And so we have to make sure we're making money on the transaction. I mean, we have sponsors and stuff now, so that helps. But we take all these collections back either to Texas or to Kansas City. I have a warehouse. I have a couple of storage units. I have an office. I have a couple of guys that work for me. And we're taking cards from collection and we're putting them into buckets, right? What's going to eBay, what's going to whatnot, what's going to grading, what's going to guys that we know have private collections that would want this stuff. And we're moving through stuff as fast as we can. Most of the time, we're trying to align it to the release of an episode, because there's something special we realized early on where someone watches, Ken from Oklahoma, and he sees the story, he sees the passion, and they go, I want to buy his cards. I don't care that Ty bought them. I want to buy a part of Ken's collection. And so we try to align it as close as we can to release. And I put them in buckets in the store, and people can go buy cards from the collection. And you're right. It's fast moving. We sell a lot of stuff. And because of that, we have a pretty good beat on where the hobby's going a lot of times, but it's a lot of work too. A lot of work.
Yeah. I can't even begin to imagine, because I see what the guys go through at the bigger conventions that I go to.
Yeah.
Just bringing everything just to a show and breaking it down afterwards. And it's just, when I think about what guys like you do, it's really admirable how much detail, because like you said, the Whatnot stream we were talking before we came on, I mean, you're spending a lot of time on the Whatnot streams, and somebody who I became friends with runs a 5 or 6 night a week rip and ship business with Pokemon cards.
Okay.
And he's told me numbers, which I'm not going to disclose. And the one thing that he said when he came on was that he's ripping, I believe, 4,000 to 5,000 packs a week.
Wow.
Live. And it's amazing the way the business has shifted right now. So
I believe it. I believe it.
It's crazy. So PSA. Why is PSA still the big dog? I hate their slabs.
Okay.
I hate their slabs, but you have to buy them because that's where the value is.
Yeah.
I like the tuxedo look with SGC.
Okay.
I love Beckett because of the subgrades. And I wish Tag would have taken off, but it didn't.
Interesting. So I think this is a great business case for a company because I agree with you, right? I think a lot of the hobby would agree with you too. Like their slabs aren't the best looking. A lot of things that they do are annoying, but they've done something that I think every company tries to figure out how to do. And that's, they've created this stickiness that's impossible for a competitor to overcome, right? They got the PSA registry, they got the pop reports, they got the market liquidity now with like your ability to go sell directly to eBay. They have all the automation, the acquisition that really sped up all their efficiencies. They have so much stickiness in the hobby, whether you hate them or not. Like they've become the behemoth that I don't think can be unseated. I don't think it'll ever happen.
The numbers speak for themselves. 71,000 cards graded yesterday. I mean,
incredible.
Whenever I go to GemRay and I look at these numbers, and it's amazing how much SGC has fallen off. PSA doing 71,000 cards yesterday and 1.8 million cards in the past month.
That is crazy.
It just makes you think nobody's touching them. And what type of money are they making when you just look at the base card? I mean, just on the base card without upcharges, they're probably doing just 700 million a year just on cards alone, let alone everything else that they're doing. And you and I have the same stance on the whole Jeff Wilson incident the other week.
Yeah.
I put a tweet out there. I'm like, no, he's 100% right. Like, please upcharge me. I will gladly give you $4,200 of my money on an upcharge.
Absolutely. Yep.
I can't even believe that was a thing that happened.
Yeah. What is it? 22.5 or 23 million cards are expected to be graded this year. I mean, the numbers right now are just phenomenal. I mean, that's up what, 15% year over year. It just doesn't stop. I mean, that goes to what we'll probably talk about more in depth here. Just the, it being an alternative asset and having more liquidity and substantiating a lot of what the market didn't have 30 years ago. It's
there's a lot of liquidity coming into the market. We're seeing a lot of big money coming in. Are you familiar with Patrick Bet-David at all?
Oh yeah, he's great.
Okay, great. So I'm sure you've seen the famous clip when he was on the Graham Stephan show, and he's talked about it a few times after that about the 2 Gretzky cards.
Yep.
That was one of the first real big people in the business community that publicly started talking about it.
Yeah.
And it's just been a whirlwind ever since Ruben got on board.
Yeah.
And what I have discussed with a lot of people is this is a real alternative asset class. It's not Beanie Babies. It's not NFTs.
No.
Some of my friends say this is just physical NFTs. I'm like, you don't understand. And your kids are into Pokemon cards, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
A couple of them are, yeah.
So I bought a box of Evolving Skies for $430.
Okay.
People thought I was nuts when I bought this. I'm like, You don't understand. It's now going for $25.60 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I've done phenomenal on the Pokemon cards. When I looked at the ROI in the past 2 years, I'm up like 210%.
Incredible.
It's absolutely incredible. So,
yeah,
I want to know it. One, let's start with do you like that Fanatics acquired Tops? And as a second part to that, what have you seen change over such a short period of time because of it?
It doesn't matter if I like it, right? I mean, it's going to be there for a long time. At first, I think I was probably a little standoffish with it, thinking monopolies are usually never a good thing, but I think they bring scale and they bring marketing power, which is a really good thing for the hobby. The way they've integrated athletes so quickly into the hobby, it's something that Panini just did a terrible job of. And it was a huge miss for them. And I think Topps is nailing it. Ruben, whether he's a collector or not, right? He loves the hobby. He loves sports, and that comes out and the stuff that he puts out, and they're adding a whole new content layer. There's a lot of things that are really good about it. I think what's the big question, right? Like, are they going to continue authenticity? Are they going to continue innovation? If they can do those two things, like I think it maybe ends up being a really good thing for the hobby. So
Does it amaze you that more people are getting into the hobby to flip and try to turn it into a business than going a traditional route?
it does. Let me flip my camera back on here. I don't know what happened.
Sure. Everybody, thank you for attending. This means a lot. Thank you, everybody who came over from a midstream. We now have more than 400 people live. Please go follow Ty on X, on YouTube. His show on YouTube is phenomenal, Chasing Cardboard. And who knows, maybe we'll see him on Netflix at some point.
Hey. All right. So what was
You
that
never know.
question?
They should give you guys a big deal. It's a great show.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. What was that question? Sorry, Stephen.
Yeah, just does it amaze you the more people that are getting into the hobby to flip? Because somebody who you probably know, Roth Card, actually saw another one of his videos today.
Yeah.
And I always look at it and I'm like, it's amazing the amount of people that are utilizing social media and turning this into a real business. And when he was at Fanatics Fest, selling the Jaden Daniels directly to the owner of the Commanders.
It was an awesome moment. He's a grinder, man. He's out there. Right. He's doing what it takes. And like, good for him, right? I think it's a natural evolution of the hobby. There's these two worlds that exist. You know this. Mm-hmm. There's these two worlds that exist in the hobby. There's the hardcore collector people. And I would say for many parts, I step into that. And then there's the investor flipper, crew that has their own lane. The people that blend them both are the ones that are hugely successful. And Roth is probably one of those guys who's just passionate about his teams and he's collecting his teams and has learned how to flip as well. It's intriguing to watch, but I think it's just a natural evolution of a growing hobby and marketplace. And I think it's a good thing. I mean, look, everybody wants to do what they love. Like I grew up wanting to do what I love, and I got stuck in the corporate world for 20 years and I hated most of it. Sports cards and the evolution of sports cards, it's created an economy. It's allowed you to be an entrepreneur, which I think is an incredible thing that 15 years ago did not exist. There was not enough steam in the hobby. And so good for guys like Roth. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And also people like DC Sports Cards and Probstein. It's just, when I look at the consignment services and the people that are flipping, doing the whatnot shows, it really shows the outlet of what is possible. And the shows have changed. I mean, I told my buddy, he's like, are we going to the National? I'm like, no, I'm not going to the National. I'm not, even if you buy a VIP pass and you've been, I have no interest in waiting around in line and doing that whole thing. It's crazy.
Yeah. Crazy. Were you at this last one? With the National?
No, okay. I watched the videos and Jeff Wilson I love his content, does a great job with the day before stuff. And you just see the sheer scope of how many people are waiting in line. And I'm like, that's not for me.
Yeah. Yeah. They've turned into full scale conventions at this point. I mean, you got to go to smaller shows outside the cities to get into the traditional card show where you got community, where you walk in, the same guys. The big boy shows now, they are full scale tech conventions in many ways, right? With live, flashing lights and content creators and superstars walking around. It's a different vibe, and it's not for everybody. That's for sure.
Yeah. I took my nephew to Comic-Con at the Javits Center in New York. Not sure if you went to Fanatics Fest.
I didn't.
At the Javits Center. I'm planning on going this summer, actually.
Yeah, same.
With a couple of people. And I think Fanatics Fest, to me, it looks like it's a little bit different because it's more spread out than just the card show. So I'm probably, and I don't have to really travel, so that's easier for me.
Yeah.
But even the conventions that I go to, like the East Coast National, it is completely changed. And it's amazing how, at least in my experience, you would go to a show to bring cash and get deals.
Yeah.
It's not like that anymore.
No, it's not. It's not. I think as collectors, sometimes you think you walk into those shows and yeah, the flashing lights can kind of confuse you, but at the heart of a lot of those shows, maybe not Fanatics Fest, but like the National and some of the, the Dallas Card Show, Burbank Card Show, like the trust, the nostalgia, the community, it still does exist at those card shows. You just have to work a little bit harder to find it.
So out of the conventions, which one do you enjoy the most?
Oh, that's a good question. The conventions would be the National. I mean, card shows, I think Front Row Card Show does a great job. They have a whole, circuit of them on the West Coast, and they're kind of bringing them to the Midwest and East Coast. They do a great job. I mean, some of the local guys that run the Kansas City card shows, props to them. Dallas Card Show is great, but I mean, the National is the National. You just cannot beat the National for so many reasons.
What are the top things that you saw at the National this year?
Oh my gosh. I was working a booth the whole time.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, I was working the booth with Marcel, the Awesome Card Shop. So I didn't walk around seeing a bunch. We did have a guy, I think we put it in one of our videos too. He walked up to sell us 752 mantles. He had a stack of 7 of them, from 1 to 1.5 to 2.5. And we called a guy we knew that was buying, that had the liquid on him and was buying 52 mantles. And we offered him 190. So that the book value, you go to VCP, which is vintage card prices, you run those book values. The book value was like $192,000. We offered him 190 grand cash, and he turned it down because
I'm not surprised.
52 mantle, right? It's one of those perfect examples of like what we see now in the alternative asset market. We got that one card that everybody knows, and that card every year over year just keeps going up 10, 15%. He's like, I want next year's increase priced in. Give me $220,000. And we're like, different world right now.
And let me take a guess. He probably used the reasoning because he has 7 of them. Yeah. You guys are going to be able to piecemeal it out, and you'll make double what you end up increasing the bid on.
He tried to use that logic for sure. We were actually selling it to a guy that was not going to resell. So we kind of flipped it back on him and said, we have a guy that's just buying it for his own collection. So it doesn't, but yeah, that logic definitely works. And it's hard to argue with someone that has 7 of them, right? You have 7 of those. I would be taking my sweet time. If you don't need the money, take your sweet time on those.
I mean, that's the most iconic baseball card. Now, in 30 years, if it's still the most iconic card, that's going to be debatable. But at least for our generation, that's the Grail.
Agreed.
And I have a theory that right now, the Bradys, the Mahomes, the GOATs of today, the Jordan, those are going to be the ones that are going to stand the test of time because those are the cards that the younger generation is looking at as the Grails.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that at the show, I was trying to negotiate a LeBron PSA. No, it was a BGS 10 pristine, I think.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say the prices, but I offered cash. It was 150 under what he wanted, and he didn't want to do the deal. Okay. And he said, the second you walk away, 5 other people are going to come with cash, and eventually somebody's going to buy it. And if they don't, it'll move next week at the next show I go to.
Yeah.
It's a different world out there. And people I think are really starting to catch on that these are truly alternative assets. Now, opening packs is a gamble. We all know this. You did a full episode on going to, I think you went to a Walmart and you spent, I forget how much, $1,000 or so.
Right.
And you're like, don't do this at home. It's probably a bad idea.
Yeah.
And I have conversations about this all the time because luckily the Judge Collector scored a bunch of jumbo boxes at a Topps Hobby for it. Jumbo boxes at Topps Basketball for us. And we got them just over what the pre-sale was, like just a smidge over.
Okay.
And it's amazing because one of the shops that I do business with, they don't have a Topps account. And they wanted $430. And I'm like, guys, I just paid X for it. They're like, we're nowhere near that. We don't have a Topps account. And
Mm,
I'm like, how don't you have a Topps account? The amount of TCG cards you guys move, I see pallets come in the door when I'm there.
yeah,
And they're like, Topps is gatekeeping right now.
yeah, true. They are.
It's crazy. I'm seeing all the prices on eBay. And I was telling everybody on 2 weeks ago that if you can get your hands on the pre-sale, buy the jumbo because it's Topps' first flagship product in 15 years.
Yep.
It's got the flag. It's got a lot of legends. It's got a lot of good cards in it, a lot of autos. You're going to see a lot of interesting stuff with it. And
Yep.
I'm seeing David Adams $530 for a box for the jumbo.
You were spot on. That's probably one of those products we'll look back just probably a year from now thinking, dang, we should have snagged some of those boxes. But
I was gonna rip one live. I'm like, I'm just gonna go buy a hobby or something to rip because I'm not ripping the jumbos because of the guaranteed hits.
yeah, yeah, good
It's
call.
just wild. So
Yeah.
what do you rip with your kids, or do you even rip anymore?
We do. Yeah. I mean, that's always that's the rub, right? You want to balance the importance of like enjoying the hobby. You know, I flip so many cards, I see so many collections, and I talk to so many people about it. I can sometimes lose sight of just like the hobby is really rich with just history and the nostalgia factor. What in the cultural connection is what makes it so beautiful. So I try to rip as much as I can with the kids, like within reason. We'll rip like we're big Allen and Ginter baseball. We're big Topps Heritage baseball. We'll rip like a case of those a year together with the kids.
Nice.
I'll rip a case of Pokemon with the kids. We'll pick a random, maybe like Cosmic Chrome basketball or something fun. But for the most part, we don't open much beyond that. I don't open much beyond that because I just know it's a loss leader. It's not, if you're looking to build a business, you don't open product.
No, not at all. And speaking of the business, what advice would you give to people watching who actually want to take alternative assets seriously because of what's happening in the market? Where would they even start with that?
Alternative assets. So being sports cards specifically here, I would say, first off, can I buy what you understand and love? Don't try to dip your toes in a bunch of things you don't really know. Like if you pay attention to basketball, what players do your kids talk about? It's always the test I tell people, like, okay, if you want to dip your toes into this, go ask the 12-year-old next door who's his favorite player. He'll probably say someone like Steph Curry, right? Like that's the guy you buy because 10 years from now, that's the guy everybody's going to want. And those guys will have real money to spend. But buy things you understand. I would say probably invest with a little bit longer term horizon in mind. You know, sometimes in the flip culture, it's like 5 or 10 months from now, you're going to flip this for 50% profit. If you're truly thinking of an alternative asset, you want to, especially in sports cards, you want to think 5 or 10 years down the line. So think about 5 or 10 years down the line. Is somebody going to still be talking about this card, this player? And then I would say in this day and age, do your best to stay away from manufactured scarcity. Like it's just so prominent in our hobby, right? There's 51 of ones in some products, but Topps is doing a great job, you know, with the debut patches, and you got like the dual logo man, Michael Jordan, Kobe auto. The reason that thing's so crazy, obviously Kobe signed before, obviously Michael signed before. They haven't signed many times together, and there's not very many that have the dual logo and a great grade. So like all these things that create true scarcity, those are the things like long-term, you're going to be thankful that you put money into.
Yeah, so it's the site is back up on theirs.
Oh, sweet.
So there's and I have a feeling that they've already gotten some private offers, but they're saying that the current value of the dual logo man is 14.99 million.
Now that's interesting. I wonder where they're getting that number from.
Yeah, I mean, either they're getting, I'm going to leave it at they're probably getting private offers. And when I look at some of these other cards, I have a theory of what they're doing. And my theory is it's all basketball right now because outside of football, soccer, I'm using the correct terminology because people were making fun of me that I called it soccer, not football, because I have people in Europe to watch. That basketball is more of a global sport than baseball, football, and hockey at the moment. And I have a theory that they're going to tokenize this and create a full ETF that we can invest in. And that'll probably happen in the next 3 to 5 years, and they're going to build it out. But even this, the 14-15 Panini Floorless out of 25, they bought this for 50 grand. They're saying it's worth 100 now. It's not even graded. they're just taking more and more assets off the market. And I think that this is actually creating a baseline for everything else that's still on. I think we're going to see a lot less of these cards come up for purchase, because I think if you looked at Jeff Wilson's latest video, he had the rainbow of the LeBron rookies. And I think a lot more private investors are really going to start hoarding these assets. I know Patrick Bet-David made a $30 million offer on a PSA 10 52 mantle, and it got turned down. And I keep telling everybody, there's real money coming into this. Jeff Wilson just went to a private equity group to try to raise $10 million. Who knows what he's giving up, whether it's 5%, 10%. Who knows if Market Movers is involved. But he said he wants to start 4 more stores, 2 next year and 2 the following year. And his stores are not your normal stores of the 80s and 90s. They're kind of like Marcel's shop and Burbank. I mean, this is really evolving a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because, like, even you're going through that site, right? I think there's some big challenges they're going to face. Like, there's got to be better price transparency. I don't think you can go, hey, we bought it for this, and like it's now worth this, without backing it up with some data. I think that's a pretty slippery slope. So hopefully they address that quickly. Even some of the sales, right? The sales that have taken place, you're like, this car you see it on Twitter, right? It sold for $2.5 million, but you don't know who bought it, who sold it. Did they sell it to each other? Like, what's going on here? Are they just artificially raising the prices on some of the stuff? Not saying they are, but I think the more transparency they put out there, the better for everything. Because, like, if they do this right, like, this is the bridge between Wall Street and the collectibles market. This is the bridge. And if they execute this really well, this changes a lot about, especially the high end stuff, but that'll trickle down. That'll affect the middle range. That'll affect the low end stuff. So hopefully they nail this thing in.
I have some theories about what's going to happen. And I was showing this the other day. And when you get Brady coming in, and I think he owns 15 shops now, and I just let this run, this is a different era. And the fact that he's in Soho in New York, the fact that he's in the Hamptons, right outside of Wrigley Field in Chicago, he's opening a store in Dallas, Texas. I mean, it is absolutely insane what's going on. We've never had athletes getting involved like this. And to me, it just goes back to, these are real investments. This isn't a joke. Big money is coming in. It's getting bigger. And I mean, we're seeing kids, 12 to 14 years old, with my own eyes. We saw it at the East Coast National, that's setting up booths, and they're flipping tens of thousands of dollars worth of cards. Like, it's absolutely mind-boggling what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it's cool. I've been to the card vaults, a few of them, and they're beautiful. They're beautiful. Again, you run, have to be really careful here, right? You run the risk of just scratching the investor flipper person, and you don't scratch the itch of the collector, and you don't create the depth that I think is super important. So I hope they do a good job of, hiring the right guys in there that you can help, bring the audience in, bring the people walking in the door into the hobby, and not just doing a transaction. So, but they're beautiful, man. And obviously Tom Brady's great. So
yeah, he's the GOAT.
Yeah. I think it's a good segue into, like, where the TCG market, what we can learn from the TCG market. I mean, the communities that, if you go to a Pokemon show versus a sports card show, the community and, like, the story the brands have, that it creates so much depth. It's just unbelievable. I think it's something that the sports card community can learn from, right? Like, that stuff's it's gaining this cultural relevance, and it's growing so fast because, like, the stories and the brands and the content that everyone relates to, it's out there. It's not just about that one card. It's about the 58 episodes of that guy I watched, I grew up watching. So it's crazy.
It's the nostalgia factor.
Yeah.
It's the playable game factor because they have the regional tournaments. I mean, it's something else. And I got to tell you, I'm worried that the collectible aspect in sports cards is not slowly, but quickly evaporating because it has become so expensive. I look at these cards and I'm like, I don't understand how kids can afford to collect. And I gotta tell you, some of
Yeah.
the prices on this stuff, like, I don't know. It's definitely different than paying 50 cents for packs back in the day.
Yeah. It's different.
It's definitely different. And when
Yeah.
you see, Pac-Man opening boxes that are 10 grand a box, it's like, I would never even consider buying that. Never.
It's not relatable to most
It's
people.
it's not relatable. There's
Yeah.
so much stuff that's not relatable in the hobby that the one downside is I think that a lot of things make a lot of this stuff look normal, but it's really not.
Yeah.
It's
You're
really
right.
not.
You're right.
So how do you is you come across so much stuff. I'm sure
Yeah.
that you have a private collection. How do you
I do.
decide what goes into that collection from all the deals you do and what actually gets sold and
Yeah.
what you say to the guys? Or do you guys have a system where you know that you're a huge George Brett fan? So if George Brett stuff comes along or Saberhagen, it's
Yeah.
going in your collection. Like, walk me through that because I'm sure that had to be some fine points worked out.
Yeah, for sure. It's something I probably struggle with more than anything else in this journey because I love cards, right? I always have. I have since I was a kid. So like when you start seeing cards all the time and you see some of the greatest collections, you just want everything, right? But like once I left the corporate world and this became a full-time gig for me, 4 years ago, I had to flip a switch and say, okay, we have to make very clear decisions on what stays in the personal collection and what runs through the business. So for me, it's pretty simple, right? If there's a connection to my family, to my kids, me ripping something, me buying something with them for them, it stays. If there's a moment in the story when we're filming where I buy the collection and this card becomes like kind of a defining moment, I usually keep it. Or if there's some items, I try to keep 1 to 5 items from every collection where I'm like, this is the piece or these are the pieces that 10 years from now, I'm going to be mad if I sold. So everything else, it's fair game. It runs through the business. And because of that, it's helped me keep the personal collection, within reason. It's helped me look at my wife in the eyes and say, hey, I'm making good business decisions for the family. And it's been good, but it's allowed me to keep some really good stuff too, which has been awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure that's got to be really satisfying.
Yeah.
What region have you gone to that is there, let me rephrase that, is there a
Yeah.
region that just seems to have better collections or more high value collections? And maybe because big market teams traditionally better players play in big markets.
For sure. I would say, in the Northeast, right? You get up to the New York region, you're going to get some of the best vintage baseball cards. I mean, some of the high end, high dollar because of the Yankees, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
have Brooklyn, you have the history up there, but some of the best deals and best collections and stories we found have been kind of from the mid-Atlantic through, through Tennessee, through, Virginia, West Virginia, the Carolinas. Over on the east side of the US has been pretty spectacular. And then I'll also say like far south Texas and the bayou down there in Alabama, Mississippi. We've uncovered some really cool stuff. You can actually walk into antique stores or thrift stores and find really cool stuff still that people haven't really thought about. So that's kind of fun. But they're everywhere, right? The beauty of what we do is that we now get a bunch of leads all the time. And we get to kind of check the box. This is a good story. This is a good collection. We get to go see it, but they are everywhere. So if you're watching this, like throw an ad in the paper, ask a friend of a friend. You will uncover something if you keep digging. I promise you, there's tons of stuff out there.
Have you ever actually found something that was worth a lot at a garage sale or anything like that across your travels or a flea market?
Yeah. Flea markets for sure. We found some great cards at flea markets. I mean, nothing where it's like, oh my gosh, this needs to be on CNBC. But the secret to a garage sale is never what's sitting on the table. It's going up to the person sitting in their garage and saying, hey, I love sports cards. I collect sports cards. Like, do you have any that you didn't put out today? You ask that simple question and you'd be surprised how many people go, oh, I didn't even think anyone would be interested. And they'll bring sports cards out. You got to ask the people who run in the garage sales and they'll bring stuff out for you. That's where you get stuff where, holy crap, this has been sitting in the garage in the attic for 20, 30 years. And you're the first one to see it. That's a fun moment.
My wife is going to kill me because I've never even thought of asking that. Now I'm going to start looking like where there's garage sales. Because being in New
Okay.
York, it's a very heavy populated area, so it's not like I have
Yeah.
to drive too far.
Oh, that'll be fun. You have to let me know if you find some cool stuff.
I will definitely let you know. That's a great idea. So card shops.
Yeah.
Obviously, Marcel's is excluded from this.
Okay.
Going around the country, I'm sure you stop at a ton of shops.
We do.
Which shops to you make you say wow when you walk in? And if you don't want to answer because you know all these guys, we can skip it.
Yeah, we try to stop in. So here's how we do it, right? We go on the road, we film, and Matt and I will either pick up the phone on camera and we'll call the card shop and say, "Hey, are you open? Do you mind if we come in and we're looking for this?" We don't tell them who we are. Now that matters, which is funny. And if they're super kind and gracious, we go see them. And then we say, "Hey, can we film here? We want to help give you guys some publicity. You don't owe us nothing." We found some really cool shops that way. But I mean, if Tennessee Grand Slam Collectibles, Nate runs that phenomenal shop. I mean, maybe the most well-run shop in the nation, if you ask me. Like everything operates like to perfection. So he does a really good job. Shout out to all my Kansas City shops, Unopened Pac-Man, The Warehouse, Albatross, Art of Sports. Ross Cards and Collectibles and Encinitas was another one that I thought, this is so cool. He has a coffee machine, an espresso machine in the back. He's got this sweet card collection up front, and just you walk in, you just want to hang out there all day. Like a beautiful card shop. So those are the ones that come to mind, but yeah, we've seen a lot of them.
Yeah, I always talk to my buddy about it. I'm like, I just want to open up a card shop. It just seems like so much fun, but I know it's not realistic, especially with not being able to get a Topps account. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I still, when the shop that I do business with said that they don't have a Topps account, I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it.
They're being stingy, man. I know a lot of guys that are struggling with that right now too. And to Topps credit though, they're not just saying like, "Hey, we're just picking and choosing." They're giving the shops a criteria they have to follow. Yep. And it's like, well, you have to have a certain amount of cleanliness. You have to have a certain amount of content you put out. You have to have a certain way you design your store to create this kind of feel. Like I actually kind of appreciate that, because there is a lot of stores that do not deserve Topps accounts just because they've been around for 30 years.
I couldn't agree more. And one of the things that Ruben is trying to do is really expand the hobby. And he completely understands that the old run-of-the-mill shop that's off the beaten path is not going to get new people coming in the door. And I have a theory about GameStop.
Okay.
And I want to see what your reaction to this is, because when I told Alex from Nostalgianomics, he was like, that may actually work. So Ryan Cohen ran a ton of companies, billionaire. They now have $8.9 billion on the balance sheet. They just did an equity raise for, I believe, $4.8 billion or so. Okay. And obviously video games are going digital. Their sales are down from $9.5 billion to $3.8 billion or so in the past decade. They have become a mini card shop at the moment.
Yep.
They have PSA drop-off, and Ryan Cohen is on, the owner of Collectors, which owns PSA, is on the board of GameStop now, I believe.
Yep.
Either that or Ryan Cohen's on their board.
Okay.
But I have a feeling that Ryan Cohen, and if I was him, this is what I would do. Acquire Collectors, close down the GameStops that are off the beaten path and only keep the most profitable ones that are in A-class malls or shopping centers with a grocery store anchor. Build out a PSA grading station at each shop where for an upcharge, you can get your card back in 4 hours, or it's a 24-hour turnaround. Focus on grading and turn it into a national brand card shop and cut a deal with Topps. That's what I would do, because otherwise I don't know what they're going to do to be relevant in 5 to 10 years from
now. Interesting. That's interesting.
Is what's the number one complaint with PSA? 40, 50, 60-day turnaround times.
Sure.
But if you actually were to build out a PSA station at each shop where people could walk the card in not have to worry about sending it in, not go through the hassle of the paperwork, and just going to the post office and mailing it. I think there's something there. If it's actually profitable, is a different story.
Yeah, you're right. That is a huge gap in the market. That would significantly grow the PSA, brand, and it removes a massive barrier entry, because I talk to so many people and they don't grade their cards because they don't want to put it in the mail. And I don't blame them, right? Like, you don't want to put it in the mail. If you could walk it in 10 minutes from your house to GameStop.
It's like dry cleaning. You drop it off, pick it up a couple of days, it's done.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it'd do something to maybe the print runs and the commitment they'd have to make to get the product into the stores. If you had that many GameStops, that would be a big hurdle to get past. But yeah, that'd be not a bad idea.
And it's not just Topps. I mean, TCG, they would have a foothold in that. They already do. So I think we're going to see something with that. It's I don't know what else they're going to do, and I keep spinning my wheels about what the hell are they going to do with another $5 billion on the balance sheet. Like, they're going to do something. You don't just take out debt not to do anything.
Totally.
Especially in a rate environment where the Fed's cutting rates.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
market.
Yeah. So what would you tell people to stay away from? If they're going to get into this, I just want to leave people with a couple of thoughts. What would you say that they should stay away from if they want to get involved in this? Goats, prospecting, and ripping. Let's leave it at that.
Goats, prospect, and ripping. What would I recommend in those categories?
Yeah, just because, look, I tell people all the time that ask me, I'm like, ripping is a zero-sum game. It's not going to work most times. You have to hit the lotto and really get lucky, because TCG is a different story if you actually put in the time, because they actually use the cards for the game. Common cards in baseball and basketball, you're not getting rid of.
Yep. Yeah. So some thoughts that come to mind. I mean, first off, I would say if you enjoy sports cards and genuinely enjoy it, of course, dabble in ripping cards, because there's that nostalgia factor that I think you shouldn't lose. But just set your expectations correctly, that more than likely, 99% of the time, you're going to lose money, but you're going to enjoy it, right? If you're looking at it for, goats, I would say, I said this earlier, you put your money in the guys that people talk about right now. Of course, the Kobe's, of course, the MJs, their stats aren't going to change, right? Their MVPs and championships aren't going to change. But go ask the 12-year-olds, go ask the 8-year-olds who they like. Ohtani, Curry, those guys are going to come up with every single kid that you ask. I guarantee you 10 years from now, and Curry's changed the game. Ohtani's changed the way we think about baseball. Those are transcendent players that evolve, that transcend way beyond our hobby. And I think they become no-brainer alternative asset suggestions. And when you're buying those cards, right, it's and some of those guys are just so expensive, right? Ohtani, you don't buy them right now because of all the hype, but you can get into some really good stuff. Don't look for manufactured scarcity stuff. Look for stuff that's unique. Look for autos that maybe he has an inscription. He does his Kenji autograph, all these things that kind of make it a little bit more unique. That'll just add some more pizzazz to the investment. Prospecting is a different game. You have to be quick with the trigger on that stuff, unless you're in it for the super long game, right? I mean, I think prospecting is a compounding game where it's you pick 4 or 5 guys and you're going to hopefully get a winner or 2 out of there, and you're going to sell those prospects and you're going to put the money back into the next 4 or 5, and you're just going to try to keep hitting those prospects and build your little pot of money. But that's just a risky game. It's a game that I don't play. So I can't give you any suggestions there, but guys like Paul Skeens and Victor Wembanyama, who's being talked about in the chat room, those are guys where you're oh my goodness, those are going to be players that change our game, and that's pretty fun.
I mean, we haven't seen somebody sub 2 ERA in quite some time, so yeah, Skeens is interesting. Well, I mean, I have a million questions. I don't know how much time you have, but I want to be respectful of your time with your family and stuff. So
keep talking, man. If you got more, we got it.
Yeah, we'll go for another 10 or 15 minutes if you're open to it.
Totally.
Memorabilia.
Yep.
Is that falling off? And here's why I ask.
Yeah.
I started getting back into what is now all the time called the hobby through not knowing what to get my father for Father's Day. My wife being Mariano Rivera's signing at this place.
Okay.
You should go get out. I'm yeah. At first I was really? And I'm yeah, okay. stood online. I'm like, all right, yeah, whatever. And then after he signed it, I'm like, I got the bug. And
Yeah.
I ended up buying a bunch of stuff over the years, and I don't see that it is as popular as it was in probably 2012 to 2015 area than it is now. It's different because of all the autograph cards, I think. So
Yeah.
has the memorabilia game changed?
I think it has changed. There was obviously the massive scandal that came out, and there's always been scandals in
Yeah.
the memorabilia market. There was a big one that came out a few months ago, which we don't have to get into, but that was the biggest one ever. It's just a sketchy, shady game to get into, and a lot of times it's like for people like you got that autograph jersey behind you right there. That's Rivera, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like it's not easy to get that stuff. It's not easy to
No,
go
it's
hanging on your
not.
wall, right? It's not, you don't put it in your pocket and put it in a little Pelican case. So I think it's never going to gain the traction that we think it'll gain. And then you got the risk involved. But I think to Fanatics credit, like they're doing a good job of making sure jerseys and patches, they aren't just puked out all over the market. And they're guarding the amount of autographs that come out for players so that we pay more for these guys. And we're doing inscriptions. Otani's great, right? He's putting out a different autograph every single year now, so that every year he has a different little uniqueness about his autograph, which I think is cool. But I don't think memorabilia market's ever going to be as crazy as we think, unfortunately.
Yeah, so
It's
I
all over,
never
man.
got
It's
into
all
the
over the place.
memorabilia market to make money in it. I got into it for me. And, one thing that I always look for on cards is inscriptions, but you don't see
Yeah.
it as much. Like, I'll show it because I'm pretty confident nobody's as crazy as me, or, people aren't going to get as crazy as me with this. But I
Yeah.
had Rivera do 12 inscriptions on this jersey.
That's incredible.
So this is a one-on-one unless you take a screenshot and figure out a way to get him to do this. And I even started with, and the judge collector and I talked about like what I should get on it. And we
Jeez.
started on the top left with Enter Sandman with the date of his first game, all of his different things, even the Sandman goat, and then Exit Sandman on the bottom right when he was done signing with his last game.
That's so cool. Man. You're not selling that though, right? It doesn't even matter.
No, absolutely
you. Like
not.
that's going to be a piece in your family forever.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is going to go to my nephew. I mean, it's just, hanging on the wall, never getting rid of it. And there's some really cool memorabilia stuff. And the thing that I like about the cards is the patch autos, I think, are so cool. And I think that changed the memorabilia game. And now what Topps now is doing, I mean, sometimes I just want to buy a 5-pack just to see. I know I'm not going to get the hit, but some of those cards are really cool. And I really like those cards.
I do too. Yeah. They're doing great with that.
So good. And, the hobby's come so far, and it's just like, I'm excited to see where it goes from an alternative asset base, because I think more and more people are looking at the TCG market, seeing channels like Alpha Investments, who's been talking about this for a decade. I mean, do you know who Rudy is with Alpha Investment?
Oh, yeah.
I've been watching this guy for like 8 years. I got to tell you, and I don't even know how I came across him. What he has built is insane. I hope you build something just as insane as him one day, and you're well on your way to doing it. And just don't get as crazy as Rudy, because he's like off his rocker now. But people really are starting to see that, man, if I buy these and I keep them sealed, and the whole idea of, with all the rip and ships and all the whatnot shows and eBay live shows, there's less product of that on the market in 2 or 3 years from now.
Correct.
And in sports, if the big chase cards aren't necessarily pulled, those boxes go skyrocket up in value.
Correct. You're exactly right. Yeah. The wax market is super intriguing. If you're looking to like play the long game, the wax market's super, you can go get them BBC certified, and you can buy the high end stuff that just disappears so fast. You're exactly right. Some of your commenters are LeVar was saying it there, even just creating your own scarcity by buying PSA 10s of certain iconic cards is a great way to kind of protect yourself, because like PSA 10s aren't as easy as you think to get these days, right? They're guarding that that pop report very closely over there at PSA, and you see some of these new cards or new releases coming out, and the PSA 10's got a 12% hit rate, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's going to be impossible. So you go buy the PSA 10s when you see them. So some of that, you can argue whether that's just kind of a little chink in the system with the whole manufacturer scarcity, but it is what it is, right? That the hobby views that as a liquid asset, and so you don't argue with it. You kind of roll with it. Is the way I look at it. But
So
yeah.
liquid. And
So
one
liquid.
of the things that Alex and I talk about on his stream, I'm coined the evil investor on his channel because I have no connection to Pokemon. I've never watched the show, I've never played the game, but I saw it as an appreciating asset that was outpacing the S&P 500 if you leave everything sealed. So I started buying them, and him and I started talking. And it's really intriguing how, if you're willing to play the long game, all the boxes I buy are sitting in a storage unit. I don't have anything here because it takes up a lot of space, right? So I don't have the room that you have behind you with that. So I have a storage unit.
Yeah.
Everything goes in plastic bins. Everything is taken care of. And looking at the way that Sword and Shield and Sun and Moon have just gone up because the print runs are done.
Yeah.
To me, that's the way that I'm investing. And then I also think that we shouldn't be worried about 10,000 PSA 10s. And here's my logic behind that. Rolex, they make 1 million watches a year.
Yeah.
And Judge Collector preaches this all day long. Make 1 million watches a year, and they have all these different lines. And the ones that are really in demand, the stainless steel Daytonas and the Batgirls and the Pepsis, maybe they only make 5 or 10,000 of them a year. And then you think about all the different markets they have to go to: Japan, China, US, England, et cetera, et cetera. How many are really in each region? And then think about how many people actually want it. Same thing with sports cards. If you have 15,000 Otani PSA 10s, it's not about how many PSA 10s there are on the pop report. How many are on the market that you can buy?
Yep.
Maybe there's 20 on eBay. Maybe there's 30, but there's not a lot on the market you can actually buy. So I don't think people should necessarily get crazy about the pop reports. Try to get cards at a good value.
Yeah. I think that's great advice. There's some great comments, by the way.
The community for this channel has been phenomenal. I gotta tell you.
Yeah. Can I answer a few of these questions?
Yeah, you can answer whatever you want. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Rich Buddy's talking about sports card went, crashed in 80%, like late 90s, basically early to mid late.
Junk wax ever.
Yeah. So two thoughts on that. One, that was a different market then, right? Like I think there's some remnants of that kind of flowing into the market now, but like the infrastructure for the card market wasn't there yet. It wasn't mature like it is now. Like we talked about earlier, there's a lot of things in place now that I think finally make the alternative asset discussion worthwhile. The other thing is PWCC put out you probably know this, the vintage card index they did for 25 years, maybe longer. It beat the S&P every year in the 2000s. It's beat it every single year. And that tracks the top 100 vintage cards. You look at like the PSA 7 mantle, the 52 mantle, that's up 1,200% since 2010. Like you think about where you get that type of return on like credible assets anywhere else, it's very hard to find. And an asset that you can own, right? Like that. That doesn't mean everything goes up. You see the card today, the mantle was it the 1914 Baltimore News Babe Ruth. Someone bought that, which is, some people consider that as rookie. Someone bought that from REA for $7 million just 2 years ago, thinking it was going to sell for 10. They put it up with Heritage just this past week, and it sold for 4. It dropped 3 million. So like everything doesn't always go up. Like there's obviously, and you made a point earlier about the 52 mantle. Like, is that the card 20 years from now? I don't know. Maybe our kids don't care about mantle. That's a possibility.
I mean,
they'll care about the PSA 7s and the 8s and the 9s and the 10s. The people that have the money will care about it for sure.
At the National, that Wilson put out a video of him and his son. His son was arguing with him about vintage is boring.
Yeah, you're right.
He didn't want to buy vintage because they went in on that deal together to try and make some money and make some content out of it. He refused to go the vintage route.
Yeah.
And that's what made me start thinking, like, man, maybe pre-80s is not going to stand the test of time the way that Mantle has stood the test of time for now. And I think that there's more and more evidence of that. And stuff like Brady, to me, is going to stand the test of time for at least the next 40 or 50 years, because he's a young guy. He's still going to be around in 40 years,
Yeah.
hopefully. So we got a long runway for those cards.
For sure. Yeah, I'm with you. I tell people this all the time, like GOATs, no doubt, Brady's, Curry's, Kobe's, but the late 90s stuff to me is the biggest opportunity in the market, like the sweet autos, the PMGs, the Star Rubies, some of the really cool Jordan inserts, like the potential in that market to go up, especially high grade stuff. I think we're 2030s, that's going to be the stuff that just goes bonkers.
I mean,
So
look at those Fleer metal cards that
yeah,
all
yeah,
of a sudden
100%.
became freaking crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really wild. And I look at this and I'm like, there's got to be a better way. And I keep saying that I wish that there was a way that you could create a true index or a public company that was just acquiring cards that had everything stored at Iron Mountain or somewhere, where you didn't have to, you could just invest in it, let the buyers do what they do, and you don't have to deal with anything. Because this stuff is, if you know what you're doing and you have time on your side, but obviously it takes a lot of space and a lot of time to actually do it.
Yep.
They appreciate in value. And it's a very interesting market that I think is fragmented.
Yeah.
And I also think that at some point we're going to see something happen because, like you said, there's no official price. So an eBay comp one day could change in an hour with a comp from an auction house or something like that. And to me, that's one of the most frustrating things, because it's like, what comp do you trust? And how quickly does it move? And then, I don't know. It's pretty crazy about that aspect.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good reminder to folks. Like check good sources of data, because you hear a lot of conflicting data these days in the market. Like, and there's some good sites. I mean, Card Ladder's great.
Card Ladder's great. 503 point or whatever it is.
Yeah, 130 point. They're
130
great.
point. My buddy's gonna kill me for messing that up.
I got your back. Yeah, no,
we argue about it all the time. He only uses that, and I only use Card Ladder or something else. So.
I'm a big fan of VCP. VCP is great. There's some really good tools out there that give you just good data. You can go to eBay and your seller manager and check Terapeak, for crying out loud, and look at 3 years of data. Check your data before you buy stuff. Man,
yeah, he's already yelling at me. 130. I'm sure I'm going to get a phone call later about that. Like, I can't believe you messed that up.
That's too funny. Go to GymRate. GymRate's an awesome source of data.
Such a good source.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, have you looked at GemRate today? With the TCG market?
No, I might have seen his tweet though. What are you referring to?
So, and I say to the Judge Collector all the time, I bust his chops about, I'll tell you a story about that. TCG, that's like 60% of what's graded in the past 7 days.
Unbelievable.
It's crazy that it's dwarfing all sports combined.
So, Steve, you'll get a kick out of this. So there's an episode we have coming out in probably a month of Chasing Cardboard. We went to Philly and I bought a crazy cool collection. But nice. I bought it from a guy. I won't spoil too much, but I bought it from a guy who's he sold everything to me because he's putting every penny of this money into one piece. 55-year-old dude, big, strong, tough, hardcore sports fan, is convinced One Piece is the next Pokemon. And there's a lot of data to back it up, by the way. Like, it's not like he's pie in the sky type stuff. Like, he's convinced 2 or 3 years from now, everyone's gonna be talking about One Piece over Pokemon. And like, he's putting all his money into it. And it's like, that's the people in the sports car world that are like shifting their perspective. It's the TCG market is just, it boggles my mind, man. It really does.
And I'll tell you why I think people are doing that. You're not the first person to say One Piece, because the TCG market has a bigger I think, community of people that are just holding the product, like true collectors that are not opening and
Agreed.
ripping.
Agreed.
And it's creating a lot of scarcity because that's products getting taken off the market. And there's so many rip and shippers that, I mean, look, what's going on at Costco and what's going on at Target and all these
Yeah.
stores is absolutely nuts with people fighting over cards. You can go buy a box from there and flip it on eBay for 3x.
Yeah.
They can't print enough. And I was at the shop I go to, and they are probably the largest TCG seller in my area. And they were telling me, Steve, the next One Piece set, I think it comes out, it's like OP7 or maybe it's OP8. They're like, trust me, just buy a couple and just sit on it for a couple of years. I don't remember exactly which one it was. For the community, I'll find out next time I go there and I'll let everybody know. But
Yeah.
they're convinced that this is going to be the next big thing.
Yeah. Look, I don't want to make any predictions, but the hype behind that stuff seems really, really incredible. I think sometimes too, like sports card collectors can view TCG collectors as competition. And I think it's important to like not view it that way because it's a rising tide type thing, right? It's just bringing more credibility, more liquidity, more money and excitement into the collectibles market, which it's a good thing for everybody. So bring it on.
There was a sale. So I ripped, when Alex came on, I had him rip 2 boxes of the M2 Inferno Japanese, and we gave them away. So I was trying to get one of the big Charizards for somebody.
Yeah.
Figured that would have been nice. Beckett graded a Black Label 10, and it sold. I sent it to Alex. I think it sold for just over $15,000. Like it is absolutely insane what is going on.
It's insane. Side note, you mentioned Beckett. It's funny how Beckett's staying relevant because of TCG.
Seriously, because of the Black Label.
Is it like people are chasing as much as they're chasing the card, they're now chasing the Black Labels and the BGS 10 pristines. I wish Beckett could somehow look at that confirmed paid. That's incredible.
Brand new Japanese set. And English hasn't, and his response was, and English hasn't even come out. Money is not real. That's what he said to me in the text. And this is somebody who is ripping 3,000 to 5,000 packs a week on his stream.
Wow.
Yeah, the TCG market is crazy. Like I kept busting the Judge Collector's chops about it. I'm like, just trust me and just buy some of this stuff and put it away. I made him buy a box or two of Brilliant Stars for $140 each. They're now 500. I made him buy some other ones. I'm like, just freaking hold it. And then in a couple of years, just bring it to the shop and trade it for what you want to rip. You'll get free rips out of it. But the TCG market is wild. They can't seem to print enough. And even when they print more, it just evaporates. I mean, I can't buy, before I could have got cases and cases. Now I'm limited to what I can get.
Yeah. What is really cool to see is that it's the younger demographic kind of fueling that surge.
Yes.
You know, that's what's really unique. You know, you got the older 35 to 60-year-old men fueling sports cards, and a lot of women now entering as well. But like, it's the younger demographic running with TCG. It's their thing.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So
they don't even have money yet, man. They haven't even got the real jobs.
Right. And for everybody in the chat, TCG is trading card games. So you have Magic the Gathering and Pokemon are the big two. You have Disney Loricana now, One Piece, and there's some other ones, Flesh and Blood, that didn't necessarily take off. So it's a very big market. It is the #1 profit center for Hasbro because Hasbro owns Wizard of the Coast. Do you look at those numbers at all?
No.
This may shock you.
Teach me.
So I was actually looking at the report today, and I can't remember the exact number, and I don't like giving bad numbers, so I'm just going to pull up the presentation.
Good call.
So I actually look at this every quarter for Hasbro because I try to backdoor my way into the Pokemon numbers because they don't release shit.
Yeah.
And just in Q3, Wizards of the Coast did $572 million in revenue, $252 million operating profit. First 9 months of this year, It's their only profit center. Basically 1.6 billion revenue and 723 million operating profit. And we know digital gaming is not big from Hasbro. So I'm willing to speculate and say that Magic the Gathering through Wizards is probably 70% of this number,
Holy
if
smokes,
not
man.
more.
Wow.
And if Wizards of the Coast is doing that and Magic isn't even the big dog, imagine what Pokemon is doing. And then imagine where the sports market is.
That is unbelievable. That's cool info, man. That's really good
And
work.
and this is why I tell everybody, I'm like, you got to look at this, look at the eBay earnings report, look at what they're doing in volume on sales on cards. There's huge money going into this.
Yeah.
And then just private equities getting involved in this. And we're seeing it with the shows and obviously with what you're doing. And there's a lot of ways to invest in this and do well. There's more than one way to skin a cat.
For sure. Yeah. So what data do you have on like the overall size of the collectibles market? Like the sports card and TCG combined? Are you looking at, isn't it like 50 billion? Is that what you ish?
I try to figure it out. I can't figure it out.
Okay.
I don't think that there's an accurate way to figure it out, to be brutally honest. It's the most fragmented market. Yeah. I'm surprised that it is still fragmented and I say that because there's no regulations in it.
Yeah.
Not that there ever would be or there should be, but at least with the stock market, you know how many shares of Apple there are, you know what the price per share is, you know what the market cap is. There's just no ways. You don't know what private investors are holding. You don't know Topps, we don't get the numbers. Panini, we don't get the numbers. I have no idea how to even begin. I mean, look, you go to the National.
Yeah.
I said that when I went to the Nationals, when I went to the East Coast National, which is 500 tables at the Westchester Center, not sure if you've ever been to it or not.
Nope.
There had to have been, and I'm just thinking about the amount of money that my group of friends had on us. There had to have been 5 or 10 million cash in their minimum, like absolute minimum. That's not including what's on the table. I mean, I'm seeing people rip out stacks of $10,000 with the freaking band from the bank on it. Like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And I know the National is crazier and Fanatics Fest is crazier, but Collecticon, I hear stories from Collecticon that people are coming in with the little, I don't even know what they're called, the man purses that they're wearing now across their chest. And there's opening up stacks of 10, stacks of 10. Next thing you know, it's 50, 100 grand on the table.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we talk about is the amount of money they're at just the shows. People don't understand what's happening with this. I mean, could you say something about like what you've seen from that type of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you're nailing it, right? I mean, that's the way it is now. It's funny. You can spot one of the buyers for a repacker from a mile away because they'll wear that, the man purse kind of stretched across and they'll pull the cash out. They'll have their suitcase behind them. That's the way it is. And it's a lot of times it's kids, young kids, teenagers and young adults doing the buying. But that's the market, man. That's the market right now. I've heard the numbers being 15 to 20 billion total cap on sports cards. And I think half and another 50% of that would be for TCG. So you're looking at like 25 billion. You look at just eBay and the sports card singles category, $2.5 billion in sales this year. That's what they're tracking at. I mean, that's just sports singles on eBay. 10, 15x that in the sports card convention world, right? I mean, it's just an insane.
And then you got all the shops, you got all the cards being sold at the newspaper stores and just, I don't know how to figure a number. I mean, I would say at least what you just said. And it's only going to get bigger. And I think Ruben, with the way that he's planning going about this, Brady opening up his shop in Soho, he was signing a bunch of stuff. He had Knicks players come down to sign stuff.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see A-Rod get involved. I mean, he was buying Timberwolves cards at the National. I think that's his next progression in. Jeter was involved with, was it Arena Club he was involved with?
Yeah, correct.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Jeter does something. I mean, I think this is the next evolution.
Yeah.
And they're really smart to go this route. They really are. And I'm excited for what happens with the hobby. So
for sure.
Real question. When do you when's your next time you're driving through New York?
Driving through New York. Probably not in the winter. Probably be early spring would be
Yeah,
our next
definitely
one.
don't do it in the winter.
Yeah. We've been to New York 3 times now filming, and we've had good experiences every time. We've gotten used to your crowd, to your personas. The old Midwest boy had a tough time there the first time. It was
I
good.
can imagine.
It was good.
Well, next time you guys are coming up, shoot me a message. I
I
want to
will.
take you guys out for dinner or lunch, whatever fits the schedule. I'll clear my schedule and we'll figure something out. And yeah, I mean, there's some great places up here for cards and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's exciting to see people getting involved in this. I really am excited.
I am too. I'll close with this. Who just made that comment? Carl's 9010 said handcuffed to a man purse is no way to go through life. That's a funny comment. But like the underlying heart of that is that sounds awful, right? To just go transact all these things, these cards, these pieces of cardboard. But I think if you look deeper into the sports card space, and this is what chasing cardboard's all about, it's about the depth and the stories of these collectibles and like the way it culturally and nostalgic, like the connection between players and teams, how cool that is. And I think if you lose sight of that and you try to just make a bunch of money, you probably won't enjoy it. But if you really let the kind of your enjoyment of the sport and like our culture be a piece of it, it becomes a really neat way to put your money in other places. And I think that's the sweetest thing in all this, right? And I'm glad Chasing Cardboard gets to be a part of like maintaining the stories in the hobby, because we cannot lose sight of that amidst all the Wall Street mania kind of surrounding sports cards now. There's a lot of depth to this hobby. It goes back over 150 years, and it's cool to pay attention to that too.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Time Lapse, thank you so much for the super chat. So if we could just answer this to close out, what is Ty's bullish case for 90s basketball and why is Shaq so undervalued? I actually thank you for saying that, because I had on my list, why is Shaq so undervalued? And I forgot to ask it because I have so many freaking Shaq rookies.
Oh my
Especially
God.
the room from Classic with him hanging on the freaking rim with the wooden border.
I have a theory on this.
Okay.
You're going to like it or hate it. So first off, 90s basketball. It's when cards became really cool. Like 96 Fleer Ultra, Kobe Bryant's rookie, that design of that product, I think, is one of the most iconic designs. And then you got all the Fleer medals, you got the flares, you got all the upper decks, like, really cool designs of Jordan, of Shaq, of Barkley, of Kobe, of Allen Iverson, all those guys that will live in our memories forever. I think that's why 90s basketball is cool. And there's a lot of really cool scarcity in those products that you just have to dig to find. Why Shaq is not as valuable as he is. Here's my theory. Nobody can relate to him. He's 7'2", 380 pounds, whatever he is. He has a size 22 shoe. You can't go out to your driveway and act like Shaquille O'Neal, but you can go out and you can reproduce a Kobe Bryant fadeaway or an Allen Iverson crossover. Those things like are relatable to the average basketball player. Being 7'2" and bulldozing somebody, that's not relatable to most people. So I think because of that, he's never quite gained the traction. And that's why I think you look at players like Steph Curry now, every kid wants to be Steph Curry in their driveway. That's why, like, you go buy Steph Curry cards because we're going to be talking about him 20 years from now. That's my theory.
That's an interesting theory that I've never heard before, but it makes a lot of sense.
There you go.
That makes a lot of sense. I like it. Ty,
I
can't thank you enough. This was super exciting for me because I've watched your show so much. Everybody, please go follow Ty on Chasing Cardboard. Watch his videos. I mean, if you enjoyed this episode, just pick any episode. It doesn't matter which one. You'll really like the show, the story, and just how everything comes together. They do a phenomenal job putting everything together with that. And visit his eBay store. I was on it before. They got some really interesting stuff.
Thank you. Yeah. Chasing Cardboard, Chasing Ty Wilson for the personal resale stuff. But yeah, Chasing Cardboard, follow the journey. You'll enjoy the episodes. Appreciate you having me on tonight. I really do.
No, thank you so much.
Your chat room's
next time you come through New York, seriously, text me. I want to take you and the crew out.
Done.
All right.
All right, guys.
Ty, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it.
You got it, guys. Have a good night.
Have a good night, Ty.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everybody for hanging out. I'll stay on for a little bit. I just want to thank Ty again. I mean, great guest. Show's phenomenal. Really enjoyed that conversation. I hope everybody here enjoyed it. And if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. I'll stay on for maybe 20 minutes or so. I agree with everything he said. It's yeah, Ray, 10 more minutes, my famous words, right? 10 more minutes. And it was interesting to hear his stuff in the hobby. I know I'm going to call the judge collector after this, and we're going to have a conversation about what he said and what we're going to purchase. And I really do think that they are, there's big money coming in, and all this stuff is really becoming true alternative assets. And look, I said in the interview, when I see Brady getting in, when I see these card shops, and I see the shows evolve, it is really freaking interesting. One of my tips for going to your first show: don't spend all your money in the first 5 minutes. Walk around. It is overwhelming if you go to a big show. And I would definitely say, when we go to shows, there's always so much cool stuff there. It's hard not to buy something if you see something you really want. But if you go to a show with 300 dealers, just think about it this way. First couple of tables that you hit, if there's really great stuff there, just think there's another 297 tables you still haven't seen. Now, I'm not saying, yeah, obviously, guilty. He's the worst. He is the freaking worst. But yeah, just don't buy everything at the first table. Look, if there's a great deal, something you've been looking for, absolutely. That would be my advice. And be aware of your surroundings. I still think that I think there's a lot of security that you don't see, but I would be very conscious about when you're pulling money out of your pocket, to be very honest with you. And I would not go by myself. If you're going and you're not bringing a lot of cash, different. If you're going to bring any type of money that is in the 4 figures or 5 figures, go with 2 or 3 people. Do not go by yourself. Let's see. There's been a lot of Topps 101s that have been found so far, but not the Superfractor autos or anything. So there's still a lot. Jordan and Kobe cards will always sell in liquid. I agree. I don't know when the Pokemon Bull Run is going to go into correction, to be brutally honest with you. I think that's good, Judge Collector. I like that. I think the Pokemon Bull Run can get sillier, to be brutally honest. I really do. Hire Steve to tank and guard you. Yeah, no, that's not happening. Yeah, I mean, look, cash is always king. People will take Venmo or PayPal, friends and family, but cash is always king at shows. So it is what it is. When is the next episode of Cooking with Steve? I believe Chef Paul is coming on Tuesday, so we'll be talking steaks and pizza most likely on Tuesday night. Oh, look at this. Tokyo Comic-Con, I went crazy. So easy to spend $1,000 on random items. I'll tell you, I went to Comic-Con a while ago, and it was freaking wild. Some of these shows are wild. It's definitely interesting. I'm not sure what time on Tuesday. Probably 9:30 or 9:45 at night he'll be on that area. Definitely a late night show. No, it will not. And here's why. No matter how silly the Pokemon market gets now, and no matter if there's a correction or not, I'm looking to hold for 5 or 10 years. And I think that it will become way more scarce. So no. We're not cooking anything with Chef Paul. We're going to be having a conversation. It's going to be too late to cook, but there will be cooking episodes with him at some point. I'm trying to convince him to make his own channel. So we'll see. But he's a very interesting. He used to own a liquor store, was a chef, got out of it because of just the hours and stuff, and he wanted to have a family. So really interesting guy. Known him a long time, and it's going to be an interesting conversation about pizza and steak with him. I can tell you that much. Judge Collector, can you put in the chat how you would answer this? Because I think we're gonna have different answers. I like jumbos the most because they're guaranteed an auto and a relic card. Megas, I believe, only have parallels and that type of stuff, whereas hobbies guarantee you a auto or a relic. I like the bigger boxes because of the guaranteed hits. Thank you. I mean, I really enjoyed it. You know, I'll try to set something up with Ty in like a couple months, see if he's willing to come back. Hopefully he is. I mean, I had a blast. He's content's phenomenal that he does. I only hold sealed Pokemon, yes. I mean, baseball individual cards, but sealed product, Pokemon's the stuff. Here's the answer from the Judge Collector. Mega boxes, cheaper alternative than hobby. Mega available in big box stores. Hobbies only at card shops. TCGplayer.com is where I get all my pricing. Hobbies guarantee hits, whereas megas don't. Yeah, I took a shower in the morning. Like I said, I don't use product in my hair. So when I get out of the shower and I comb my hair, it looks like I have gel in it. So late at night, you know, like I don't use product in my hair. Like, I don't know, you know? So those days when it looks like it's slicked back, it's really not. It's just still wet. Rudy would never come on. Yeah, I don't know that Rudy's ever gone on anybody's channel. Trust me. I would love to have Rudy on. Absolutely love it. You know, he's in a different league than everybody else. I'll send the Judge Collector stuff, and you're like, don't make me watch this. You're going to make me feel bad that I don't have as many sealed product as him. Like, it's just, Rudy's a beast. That's all there is to it. Thank you. Listen, I am enjoying making the alternative asset content. We'll see what happens. I am glad that you enjoyed it. No, my wife does not blow dry my hair. Ray's blueberry pie ice cream. Drop a link. I want to see this. Drop a link. I'll bring it up on screen. I have not. I couldn't answer you that. Look, I don't know the Pokemon market like that. I just know that statistically, if you buy at release and you hold it, every product has outpaced the S&P 500 over a 5 to 10 year period. So that's the logic I use. I think a Mitch should shave his head. 100%. I think he should shave his head. I mean, that's what I would do if I was him. I mean, I that would be a waste of milk. So, shampoo. Rudy is the GOAT. I'm not sure what Rambler has, but I agree. Leave it sealed. If Pokemon cards are popular selling, why doesn't the Pokemon factory just trust me? They flood the market. There is too much demand. Yeah, remember, they're running printing presses. So they can only ramp up so much. There's too much demand. From ND, no, Rudy from Alpha Investments. He's based out of Florida. Ray, what's a lot of fun? We need to make a tier list of Steve's different shows. All assets is SD. Oh, love it. Thank you so much. Would I ever consider? I don't even remember what the question was, to be honest with you. Cut your hair like a mitt? No, that's not happening. Oh, building an investment team. Oh, trust me, I'd consider. I don't know if we're gonna freaking be able to do it. Avocado blueberry wheat ale. Okay. Let's see what this is all about. What is this? Let's bring this up on screen and investigate. Oh, this looks interesting. I would try it. Where is this? Nashville. No, did I just read that wrong? New York? Why have I never heard this? Why did I say Nashville? My eyes are freaking going. What the hell is this? Oh, that looks amazing. Why did that map not come up? Monroe Street. I have never heard of this freaking town. The hell is this? Oh, it'd help if I was not in Bing, right? I'm trying to bring up Google freaking Maps here. Where is this? Up by Rochester? Oh my God. So this is over by Buffalo. I don't know. Well, I have a new place I got to put on the freaking list of places to go now. Thank you. Jesus. Maybe taking a drive at some point. Oh, appreciate it. Rudy from okay. No, Rudy from Alpha Investments. I'm with that, but no hot fudge. I never understood why do you want hot fudge on I don't get it. I could do like to me in my warped mind, caramel syrup, hot caramel on vanilla would go way better than hot fudge on vanilla. If I want hot fudge, if I want chocolate, we just got chocolate ice cream. So I think caramel is a better pairing, personally. Food talk, let's go. No, it's not something that I'm into. I mean, $27 billion data center is going to be pretty crazy. I can't wait to see what Zuckerberg says on the earnings call this week. Can't wait. I'm sure the buffalo wings are great. I've never had dinosaur BBQ. I mean, that's a good question. I think it's going to depend what type of ice cream. I think a banana is too bland for vanilla. So I would definitely say cherry on vanilla. I have to go cherry on vanilla. Oh, you know it. Everything bagel. So this is what I would tell you. Only what you can afford to lose and not care about, to be brutally honest. Like, there's no easy way to sell it. The most efficient way is probably eBay, and eBay takes a fee. Like, there's a lot of things you got to think about. Like, it's not as easy to get your money out as a stock. So, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. Whatever you can afford to lose and not really care about, to be very honest. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not a person that will go hunt for donuts. Like Dunkin' Donuts or Krispy Kreme's fine with me. I'm just not a donut guy. Blueberry muffin. Oh, top three fruits in general: blueberry, strawberries. I do like a good apple. It's got to be four: an apple and then kiwi. None. I don't believe in toppings on pizza, but if I had to, some type of chicken. I don't follow that market, so I couldn't tell you. Yeah, peach. Man, peaches. I forgot about that. That's got to be up there too. Okay. I don't know that I'd be hanging that on my wall, but I mean, all right. I would say you contact a rare art dealer and have them come in and help you. That's what I would do. Right? Contact a private art dealer. Yeah, eBay takes what, 13.5%, and then you pay another 3 to 5% for processing and all that, or advertising. And there's a lot of fees. It's not as easy. I will be getting a PS5 for Grand Theft Auto 6. That's a good question. I don't know. Man, I don't know. I don't know. I'm really looking forward to Amazon's. So we'll see. Now, this is a great question. French toast is automatically out of the conversation. Pancakes are more versatile because there's just so many different types: blueberry, banana. I mean, who doesn't love piping hot blueberry pancakes where the blueberries are just melting inside? I mean, come on. Now, waffles are great, but you have to have great syrup with them. Otherwise, it's I gotta go pancakes for the versatility. Gotta go pancakes. It's funny how this always turns into a freaking food show. Always. All right. You got me there. You can make a sandwich out of waffles. I got you. You know, we can also make a sandwich out of cookies. Chipwiches are freaking amazing. No, you'll never get me on a cruise. Ever. Neither. If I'm drinking, it's hard liquor. Oh, June, that's a good one. I mean, look, when I make eggs, I'm putting, no matter what, The base is olive oil with garlic simmering in it. Then I chop up the rest of my garlic, red onion, and peppers. And then if it's made, I will throw broccoli in with sausage. So I would have to say just the standards garlic, onion, and peppers. Tell me about it. None. I don't go on vacation. Yeah, okay. I could do that. Yes, we need to envision it. This is true. Oh my God, it's 10:45. Where does the time go? I don't get it. I don't understand where the freak the time goes. Yes, cold pizza, amazing. I mean, cold pizza is a standard for breakfast the next morning. It's freaking amazing. The filet. I mean, here's why I say it. If I'm going to a steakhouse, I'm never just going to order a New York strip. If I'm in the mood to have a strip, I'm ordering a porterhouse so I can get both. If I'm not in the mood for a strip, I'm getting a filet. And depending on what type of ribeyes, I'm not ordering it because I do like a good ribeye, but I don't like the ribeyes that are over marbleized and have too much fat in it. I want the meat. That's right. Porterhouse. No, but I mean, that sounds kind of awesome. Question is, what would you put in between two cold slices of pizza? That's the question. We will not be doing that. Ray, what did you get from auction last week? Love hearing that. Love hearing that. Nice. Nice. Yeah, I mean, listen, I like sports cards. Um, if you have an MJ rookie, go get it graded. Yeah, I mean, John's Pizza is freaking ridiculous. You're gonna think this is crazy. I'm not a fan of mac and cheese. I think it's overrated. PSA graded is right. Oh man. Well, hopefully everybody's ready for this week. Tuesday starts the fun for me. SoFi earnings. Favorite way to eat a potato? Cut it down the center, throw some freaking garlic butter in there, and get after it with some salt. Yeah, this week's going to be amazing for stocks. Absolutely amazing. I mean, the overnight markets look freaking great right now. That's a good question. I'm going ZD. I know, crazy, right? I don't like mac and cheese. I think it's overrated. Riots in the street. I agree. I know. Listen, a lot of people when we went to Uncle Jack's, Mick got mac and cheese for appetizer. I got jumbo shrimp. I don't know. I would just rather get jumbo shrimp. I'm ordering that over mac and cheese. None. Absolutely none. Salt and pepper is all you need on red meat. Come on, fries. I love a good onion ring, but fries, I mean, come on. Oh, awesome. You received the Charizard in the mail. So happy. Thank you for letting me know. Glad you got it. We'll be doing giveaways at some point again. Pasta with green peas. Overrated? I mean, I don't know. Can't say that I've ever had pasta with green peas. I mean, you're talking to somebody who will eat cold pasta right out of the freaking Tupperware. Like, I love pasta. That's very cool. That's very cool, Jan. Chocolate chip cookies with crushed Oreos in it and are green for Halloween. Let me think about this. That's like Ghostbusters crossing the streams. Like, you just crossed the streams. I don't even know what to think about this. My mind is actually blown. I think that you need to try them and tell me how they are, because that is blowing my mind. Crushing up Oreos in chocolate chip cookies. You're crossing the streams. I must know how this goes. I must know. Yeah, fries all day. I'm with you. I don't like bacon really, so loaded potatoes off for me. I do like steak fries, but I'm going to go regular fries. I like mashed, but I'm good, fine with baked also. I don't discriminate. I'm good. I would order mashed though. Definitely some Antiques Roadshow stuff. Yeah, cold pasta. It's freaking amazing. It's cold pasta. Correct. Never cross the streams. Never ever cross the streams. Rigatoni. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's still a chocolate chip cookie or not. I gotta really think about that before I give a judgment. No, not really. Not really into Indian food. I could do teriyaki steak. Fries all day. I'm not gonna disagree. There's something about leftover pasta that's freaking amazing. One, I have a 49-inch curved on my desk in my office and in my home office. So I'm a fan of the curved. I don't like multiple screens. I like everything being on one pane. And I'm a big fan of the Samsung curved monitors. Let's see. Will Bezos stop selling? I have no idea. He didn't ask me for permission, so I don't know. Bezos does what he wants. I think it's going to depend if he wants to buy another house or another boat. All right, guys, I'm going to go for 6 more minutes and then I'm going to get out of here. It's going to be a long day tomorrow. And I know I said 10 minutes like 30 minutes ago. I know. Trust me, I know. 7,000. It's been the same since the beginning of the year. It's been the same since 4,800 in April. I'm not changing. Freaking 7,000. 60 minutes more? No. I got a function tomorrow. I got stuff to go. Wait. Do I have what meetings do I have tomorrow? Yeah, no, I got some big meetings tomorrow. I actually have to be functional. $600, Jesus. I have no idea what ETH is going to hit. Oh, now I really do appreciate that. I can tell you, I don't have as cool freaking sport jackets as him, though. I'm gonna have to up my game. If we hit 7K this week, I don't even, let's just say this. We hit 7K this week. Next week's alternative assets, there will be giveaways. How about that? Don't you worry about hiring out on YouTube with the. I actually have no idea what you mean by that. Oh, burning app. No. No. I do not. I'm very good at flipping off and flipping on a switch. Never happened. I do not day trade. Ethereum, but I'm still bullish XRP. 49-inch curved. Love old school. Why? Yes, I have. I have absolutely looked into buying cask of Scotch whiskey. I actually talked to a company about it. I ended up not doing it, but it is very interesting. Probably Amazon. Yes, I have. I've seen a lot of his videos, and some of the stuff makes me cringe, and some of it's pretty freaking amazing. So his channel is pretty ridiculous. Let's see. 49 inch. A little, no. A little smoke is fine. Joe's Pizza's pretty good. Come on Tuesday night. It's going to be a real food stream. We got Chef Paul coming, I believe, Tuesday night. Yes, I would also. All right, everyone. I'm going to call it a night. Wait. I will answer this one for Rambler. I need a list of pizza places in NYC. Start on John's Oblique. Go to Joe's. Go to Prince Street. Go to Una. Go to Slice. Go to Patsy's. I'll think of some more. But those are the ones you should start with. Start with John's. All right. I need to head out. I will see everybody tomorrow night, I guess. Chris and I think, will be on around 9 o'clock. And then Tuesday we'll be on probably in the morning, would admit, for SoFi. And be an interesting week. Hopefully everybody makes some money. Appreciate everybody being here. Have a great night.